Hi, I'm Dave DeWitt, and today I'd like to talk a bit about Phineas and the jealousy of God. Remember the name Phineas? I didn't. There are actually two guys named Phineas in the Bible. One's a good guy and one's a bad guy. I'm going to be talking about the good Phineas mentioned in Numbers chapter 25. He's one of the good guys in the Bible who gets very little mention in our sermons and lessons. Phineas was the grandson of Aaron, Moses' brother, the high priest. Aaron had four sons. The first two, Nadab and Abihu, were killed when they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness. After Eli, God declared the end of the line of Aaron's son Ithamar. The line finally ended when Solomon forced Ithamar's descendant Abiathar into retirement because he was part of a coup to make Adonijah king. This left only the line of the high priest and the high priesthood coming through his son Eleazar, who is the father of Phineas. The day we're looking at's in the 1400s BC, while Moses was still leading Israel before Joshua took them into the land. Israel was camped at a place called Shittim, opposite Jericho, east of the Jordan River. Here's what happened. Numbers chapter 25, verses 1 through 8. While Israel remained at Shittim, the people began to play the harlot with the daughters of Moab, for they invited the people to the sacrifices of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. So Israel joined them to Baal of Peor, and the Lord was angry against Israel. The Lord said to Moses, "Take all the leaders of the people and execute them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that the fierce anger of the Lord may turn away from Israel." So Moses said to the judges of Israel, "Each of you slay his men who have joined themselves to Baal of Peor." Then behold, one of the sons of Israel came and brought to his relatives a Midianite woman. In the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the sons of Israel, while they were weeping at the doorway of the tent of meeting. When Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he arose from the midst of the congregation, took a spear in his hand, went after the man of Israel into the tent, and pierced both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through the body. So the plague on the sons of Israel was checked. That's a close quote from Numbers 25, 1 through 8. Well, this was not just about sex. This was about using sex to worship Baal of Peor, one of the gods of the Moabites and the Midianites. Apparently, this was set up by the advice of a conflicted prophet Balaam in Numbers 31. The plan was for the Moabite women. The word for they is feminine, so it's the women is how we conclude it's the women of Shittim to invite the men of Israel to a sacrifice of their gods, which included having sex as part of the worship. It seems that both hetero and homosexual fornication was often a part of the worship of the nations surrounding Israel. Because the leaders did nothing to stop it, God told Moses, "Take all the leaders of the people and execute them in the broad daylight before the Lord." While this was being carried out, an Israelite man staged a blatant public protest by taking a Midianite woman into a tent in Israel in front of everybody for sexual relations. The Israelite man who did this had a leadership position of some sort. We're told his name was Zimri, the son of Salu, the leader of a father's household among the Simonites from the tribe of Simeon. The woman was the daughter of a prominent Midianite. Her name is given too. Its name is Cosbi, the daughter of Zur, who was the head of the people of a father's household in Midian. So this was not just about sex. It was an attempt to defy the commandment of God and the judgment of God. The central issue was whether Israel would worship the Lord exclusively or should they be allowed to worship other gods as well? This is when Phineas stepped in. He arose from the midst of the congregation, took a spear in his hand, and went after the man of Israel into the tent, and pierced both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman, through their bodies. Now, at this point, suppose you stop reading and ask the question, how would you expect God to respond to this situation where Phineas has just murdered two people because of their religious and sexual preferences? If you expected God to be tolerant, compromising, gentle, permissive, or patient with the couple, you'd be wrong. If you expected God to criticize or judge Phineas for his intolerance, being judgmental, and committing murder, you'd be wrong. The next question is, what does it tell us about God? And how should we apply this to our situation? Well, I know things are different now. We're in the age of grace. We're not the nation Israel. We're not Levitical priests. We can't go around murdering people when they defy God's commandments and commit adultery. So what's the takeaway here? God explained in Numbers 25:11, Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned away my wrath from the sons of Israel, in that he was jealous with my jealousy among them, so that I did not destroy the sons of Israel in my jealousy. What made Phineas the hero in the situation is that he was jealous with God's jealousy. Not only was God's jealousy good, but it was good for Phineas to share in it by being jealous with God's jealousy. God's jealousy is his exclusivity, a theological point being that God is exclusive, not inclusive. He will not tolerate adherence to another god. The Canaanite worship of Baal, in this case Baal of Peor, the Ashtaroths, Molochs, fertility cults, and all just a string of mystical ideas from the imagination of the men who exchanged the truth of God for a lie. The same is true of all of today's man-made religions. God's always exclusive. When Jesus was baptized, God said, "You are my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased." When Jesus was transfigured on the mountain, God said, "This is my Son, my chosen one, listen to him." Exodus 20, verse 3 says, "You shall have no other gods before me." Jeremiah 5:7, "Why should I pardon you? Your sons have forsaken me and sworn by those who are not gods, declares the Lord." John 14:6, Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me." Acts 4:12, Peter said, "And there is salvation in no one else, for there's no other name under heaven that's been given among men whereby we must be saved." 1 Timothy 2:5, Paul wrote, "For there's one God and one mediator also between God and man, the man Christ Jesus." Well, as a conclusion, there's something we need to keep in mind about God. He's a creator, not a creature. He's real, not some mystical idea, or a string of mystical ideas known as religious tradition conjured up in the mind of man. And God will not tolerate whatsoever his people giving any credence to the world's religious ideas. Well, thanks for listening. If you'd like my paper on Phineas and the jealousy of God, it's available on our website, relationalconcepts.org.